Hello and welcome to the Mindful Millionaire podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Peterson, and today I have a beautiful conversation to share with you that I had with my new friend, Debbie Allen. Debbie is an incredible coach and longtime speaker who teaches people about developing their expert status and being able to speak on stages and coach their clients in a more effective way. I am so excited about this conversation too, because there were things that I learned about Debbie, about her journey of right after high school going into the business that her father had started. And she talks about some of the things she learned along the way, and then making this big switch into becoming one of the most successful women speakers on the circuit for years. And then, coming into this place of realizing that she didn't want to just have that one stream of revenue and started to coach and to teach classes. And then the pandemic happens and she's still got to reorganize her business, and talking about what keeps her going, even though she's built her wealth. She loves giving back. She loves making an impact in people's lives. And I think you'll really enjoy this conversation. Debbie, thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited. It is a new year, new things, new mindsets. We're ready for it all, right?
That's right. I'm so happy for 2022. We're going to let go of a lot of things in the past and we're going to move forward with great optimization of what our potential is. So, Debbie, I'd love for folks to get to know you a little bit better. And we have this connection. We're both in Arizona. We met through this really great networking community and we're fast friends. And I'd love it if people could get to know you personally and also professionally. What would be a good way for us to
Sure.
get to know you better?
Well, I guess my mindset is a little different than most people because there's not very many people that could say they've never applied for a job in their life, and I have to spell it. That's how terrifying it is. But that keeps me moving forward as an entrepreneur. I came right out of high school and started working in the family business, and I bought into the family business when I was 19 years old. By the time I was 30, I was a millionaire. Then 32, I was a self-made millionaire. And so it just came from, like I said, no college, no job, just going right into business. And I'm grateful that I went into a really challenging business very early on to learn a lot of multitasking.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know this about you. And you've probably made some big shifts over the time in your career. So, were there some pivotal moments of like, hey, I'm going to do
Yeah.
something different?
Yes, of course. And entrepreneurs, we get bored if we're not being creative. Keeping that mind active all the time. You get that, Lisa. For me, it was that's all I knew going into the family business. We started out with a car rental business outside of Gary, Indiana. I kind of call it lovingly the armpit of the U.S. It was the number one place in the country for car thefts, number one place in the country for murders at that time, and we lived outside in kind of a safe community, but that was our clientele. So starting out having to learn that tough business with a tough clientele, starting out with 5 rental cars, growing it to over 200 rental cars, campers, trucks, everything. Then we also started a mini storage business. So it was kind of like I just jumped in with both feet and had to learn the business day by day, and seeing a business and a growth trajectory, just came from an idea. My dad was not an entrepreneur. He was a car salesman for over 20 years. And then he started a leasing company for that company, for the car sales. And so I thought, okay, I can do this on my own. A lot of entrepreneurs think I can do this on my own. And they realize how hard it is. But he said, I can do this on my own. I got 2 kids. I'm putting them to work. Right? He did. And so then he was like smart enough to say, you can do this, you can do this. And we just did it, and I can't even, I look back on my 20s and think of all the business lessons I learned, but then you have that trajectory where you go, okay, next, what's the next thing? And so if you're listening to the podcast, you're going, what's your next thing? A lot of us are thinking, what's the next thing? I'm like the queen of reinvention. So, I always know that if it's not fun anymore, and I'm not making the kind of money I want, then it's time to change. And again, fun was first. Like, I'm not loving it. So I left the family business not knowing the next thing. I bought a retail clothing store from my mother, who was moving out of state, and very, very little mentoring. I think 2 weeks, and it was like, okay, you got it. Knew nothing about it. Never worked a day in retail. Everybody said you're crazy. Because I was making well over six figures when I was, this is early 70s. I'm dating myself now, but it's like, and you're in a little town of, in Indiana, and people think, well, you're lucky to make that kind of money. Like, how could you leave? Well, because it wasn't my passion. So I just found that clothing was not really my passion, but business was my passion. And then finding out how to do that was finding my first group of mentors, which we didn't call mentors back then. It was just a group that took me under their wing and taught me everything. And then I took that business to a multi-million-dollar business within 2 years. Rode that ride for, I think, I don't know, 15 years or something like that, building and selling retail stores. Ended up moving from Indiana to Arizona, had a store here as well. And then got into the speaking business. And Lisa, it's been 26 years in the speaking business, but I don't call it a speaking business anymore. I call myself an expert who speaks professionally. And then from that, just like you do, Lisa, is create multiple income streams around sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, what you know.
Gosh, that is such an incredible journey. I'm just like, there's so many things that I want to ask you.
You want to unpack, right? Like, how did you start that speaking business when you were in the clothing business, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
that's a good one.
yeah, that's because it was kind of an odd thing, where you're just entrepreneurs are kind of gutsy sometimes, and we just open our mouth and say we can do something, and then you go, how am I going to do that? So that's what happened to me. I was at a big show in Las Vegas where I was buying for my store, and I said, why don't you do seminars? Why are you not teaching people to be successful? You're just selling them stuff. And these, fabulous boutiques and these independents, mom and pop, small business owners are going to be gone. I could see that writing on the wall way ahead of the game. And so they said, okay, I met the guy that ran the show and from another friend. Again, it's relationships, right? And then he says, okay, we'll do a seminar. And I said, I'm going to fill it standing room only. You're going to see that you need seminars, and then you're going to pay me for the next one. You're going to refer me to 3 more clients that can pay me. And I'm like, who am I to be demanding? Like, I'd never even been a speaker before, right? But I believed they needed it. So my passion was stronger than the know-how. And I think that's always been the case for me. My passion has pushed through the doubting mindset to like, okay, I want this because, there's this passion, there's this drive, and another reason besides just the money part that comes later. So that's how I started my speaking career. And I filled the room, standing room only, in Las Vegas in a morning. I'm like, I can do this. I don't know how to do this, but I know I can do this.
It's such a great skill to have that kind of tenacity, perseverance, like, I'll figure it out. I do feel like that has been one of the greatest gifts that I brought into business ownership. And I had been in sales and I had my own business right after college, but I noticed, at first you kind of bring all of you. And then after a while of business ownership, you start to realize, well, there are these things that you do that are helping. And then there's also these things that you're doing that aren't helping. And I'm curious about, like, have there ever been these moments on your journey where you're like, I'm doing this and it's not actually helping my success?
Hell yeah. On a monthly basis. I got to be honest here, right? I'm always, that's who I am. It can't be anything else but my authentic self. But it's, I think that you go through periods where when the business becomes about you or a goal or a money thing so much, I mean, that it gets lost in translation. And so that's when it doesn't start helping. Or if you're feeling like right now, I feel a little lost. And that is just so normal with all of uncertainty we've been dealing with for quite a while. 2 months, 2 years, who knows how long, right? And so in a shorter time, anybody can stay strong and get back on their feet and jump back into stuff. But I think that we get into a routine in business where we're doing things that aren't moving us in a forward trajectory motion because we either like those things or we're not comfortable delegating them, or we just think they have to be done because that's the way it's always done. And when it gets like that and you're feeling a little lost or a little bored, it's time to switch it up. I mean, as women, we can just speak to this. I know there's men listening to the podcast too, but I think we're all in touch with our intuition, but I think women even more so. Like, we know it, just like we get into a bad relationship, we ignore the red flags. We do this in business, and then we just stay on that hamster wheel. And that's why people can't get from 100,000 to 200,000, 500,000 to 1 million. It's because of of how they're running their business. And there is different thinking as entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs can be very successful as a solo entrepreneur, love that world, dynamic at it, make great money. And then there's other entrepreneurs that think multi-million dollar, hundreds of employees, multiple locations, many, many, many things going on. And I think success and our mindset around success and what we want to do changes as our life changes. And I
Mhm.
always felt that business as an entrepreneur should be a lifestyle business. So whatever that is for you, if you feel like it's not a lifestyle business, you need to fire your boss, which is you, and say, or slap them around a little bit and say, I want a new position. It's easier or something.
Yeah. One of the things that you said really got me, and I'd love to talk more about it because I think I just had a big realization this past week because we're here in the first week of the new year, and it's a great time to reflect and think about, like, what are we doing that's working? What are we doing that's not working? Um, and one of the things that I realized is that I love creating content. Like, I could create content forever. It's my joy spot. It's why I think it's not just the creating of the content, it's about thinking about what the challenges are that people are facing and then creating a tool that would help people with that particular challenge. Like, I love doing that kind of thing. But what the realization was just because you love that doesn't mean that you can do that all the time. Like, for
Hmm.
example, um, sales and being really oriented to the sales process is not my joy spot, but I know how to do it. I've done it for my career, but I could see how those two things were out of balance with each other.
Yeah.
Like, I'm spending a lot more time doing this, hence me writing a book, hence me doing a lot of things that I do. People are
Hmm.
listening. Yeah, they're like, yeah, Lisa's creates a ton of content. You know that. But just curious, like, when you hear that, I'm sure, what comes to you? Because what about those things? It's like we kind of, because we do want to follow our joy, we want to love what we do, but doing the same, only the things that we love to do in a business might not work out for the best. We have to
Yeah.
have balance. We have to be careful. Like, what do you suggest for people when they notice that that's happening?
Well, first of all, you're a big thing. You're a big person in, like, writing out your goals and knowing what you have a plan in advance. And I am like that too. But that doesn't mean it doesn't shift. And I think this year both of us have been put on probably an agenda that's a little sooner than we thought, because in our mastermind group that we have joint venture partners, and some of these partners want to work with you, but they're booked out months in advance. I'm like, well, then I got to start thinking about my fall. And for online events, I've done 3 months, 6 months, and then even the beginning of this year before it started, I had to make a big decision to launch in a January event that I was going to do, an online event, or say no to it. My gut was telling me, you are doing this because it's busy work, because it's income work, because you think you need to reinvent a course that's really already good. Do you need to do this? Well, yeah, I do need to do this because I've already put up the landing page. I haven't wrote all the emails yet, but I've already told some people about it and I have to do it. Right. And so that's where you think, okay, now I have to keep moving forward. No, no, you don't have to move forward. So this decision I made even this morning is, hey, keep the landing page up there. We're not promoting this. You're not, I'm sending it all to my assistant. We're not going to do this. I didn't feel that that message that I was going to deliver and that course I was going to launch has the right timing based on where people's mindsets are and based on where I'm at right now. And if I feel that I'm pushing something on my own agenda that just feels off or unsecure a little bit about it, then I'm better off just saying no. Because when I say no, now I've got a space. So I can look at my calendar, I can erase out all those things. That doesn't mean I go shopping and hanging out and playing during those times, but I find another way to create another goal, achieve another goal within what I want to do. Don't have to do the busy work all the time. Don't have to do what you thought you had to plan. The world is changing so fast around us. We have,
Mm,
as entrepreneurs, we have to stay on top of that. And if we're not doing topics and touching on what's going on, changing like by the day, uh, then I think that's the biggest thing that's happening, and it's going to happen for 2022. To be successful, you need to make your plan, but if it doesn't feel right, trust your gut, be able to bail out before, be able to say no if it doesn't work for you, go in another direction. And I think that's just going to be what this year is going to look like. I'm going to put that as my prediction. 2022 is going to be the year of not pivot, a fast pivot,
mhm,
and paying more attention to your gut feeling, intuitive business sense, and being able to shift and adjust what works for you and in turn will work for your clients.
mhm. Yeah, I can see that. So really being able to shift gears if something feels out of alignment with what's most
Mm,
important to you. And also, I mean, I think you and I both work with a lot of folks who are trying to get the mindset that they need that aligns with creating what they most want, right? Like these beliefs or these ideas that um, something's not going to work out, something gives them a bad feeling. I mean, a lot of mindset blocks that I explore with people and
mhm.
I explore with myself is that even though something's really good for us, it might not feel good to us because
Or
we've
just may
got
not be the right
stuff,
timing. Yeah, it
right?
might not be the right timing. So exactly, the title of this course that I was putting together is Succeed, Scale, and Thrive in 2022. And it's like, no, we're just getting into it. It's too soon. We're still uncertain. Yeah, do we need all that? Do we want all that? But I don't think that message relates to a general audience right now. We
Mm,
want it. We usually go into the new year like, yeah, go, oh, that would be a perfect fit for just about any year. I don't feel that we're ready for that yet. I think there's still too much uncertainty in mindset. So, yeah, great information. It could be whatever, but it's like if I'm feeling that way, I'm not going to put out my best message. When you put out your best message, because I speak from the expert world, is you put out the best message is when you are in the moment, real, authentic, based on your own past experiences, your own wisdom, and then sharing that with an audience. And so, everybody listening here, this is the year to be thinking, how can I tighten up my positioning to be a stronger expert and be able to speak my mind how I want to speak it to really make a difference in the world? That's when you start making money in this business, is that you don't just copy everybody or think you're doing busy work to stay ahead of the game. I think the true expert is someone that can find their path and be able to speak a voice from that path that's different than everybody else's, and also very in touch with what's going on in our business world, in our minds at that moment.
mm, mhm. Yeah. How is that different than what you saw maybe 10 years ago? Just curious.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. I was like slamming it, just like next, 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 business, business, business. I'm trying to look at what year would that have been?
So I know, huh?
12, 2012.
2012.
But yeah, I was slamming it because let's see, 2008 economic crash, financial crash, you know all about that, right? And I was on the top paid professional women speakers, top 3 to 1%, like a top up there, right? Had reached that goal and then crash and burn, no business, no paid professional speaking business. But it had to happen for me to see I need to become an expert who has multiple income streams. It doesn't count on one, and one is, which is paid speaking, even though you're so good at it. That's when it's really hard to let go of it, Lisa, when you're so good at it. Sometimes you feel like you're so good, you've got it finally dialed in. This is my jam. This is it. This is going to be for the rest of my life. This is my legacy. And the world around you changes and you go, hey, you can take that same knowledge, but you got to twist it. You got to do something different with it. So by 12, let's see, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 12, I was cranking it. So I had actually come off a 3-year world tour because there was business everywhere else besides the US, and then reinvented my business through teaching people how to become experts who speak and sell. Totally was switching everything in my business. And by 10 years ago at 2012, I was cranking it full time, had got into the highly paid expert. The book came out, the workshop came out. It was easy. Anything I put out was selling. Everybody was grabbing onto the idea. There wasn't a lot of doubt. There wasn't any doubt, fear. We were excited because so a lot of it, and such a great question, Lisa, because our mindsets around money and our business plays so much into what's going on in our economy and around the world. And so you know, you can look at certain years and go, yeah, I would. Yeah, and there's people that have just blown it up and done amazing through the pandemic because they found an area, they found a path, they found a thing. You know, like we're in the building business, we're in real estate too, and it's crazy busy. Like our business has gone through the roof. But then there's other businesses that are struggling, and the speaking business is another one that tanked again. So if I stayed in that path and just did that one income stream, so I've seen this happen in my 26 years as a speaker, crash and burn dramatically twice. I'm like, anybody still thinking that's what they want to do for a living with one income stream is nuts. You
Oh,
know, so
yeah.
yeah, it's not even a viable business anymore. You know, you have to be an expert who speaks, and then it's a great way to get business. And I love teaching people to be speakers and putting their message out there to get clients, but it's dramatically changed.
And
And
then
so
you faced the switch because you were now you've got by the time the pandemic hit, so going back to the beginning of 2020, successful speaking business still in place, but now you're also coaching and you're teaching programs around the books that you've written and the topics that you've mastered. And then the pandemic happens. What happened in your business that you had to shift again with?
yeah, big question. Yeah, it was a major shift because, you know, even my clients were a lot of them were speakers, and we were actually in Sedona. Like we're going to be in Sedona in a couple of weeks together. Going to be speaking at my event there, Speaker Sales Mastery. And the thing is that it just switched completely because we went online, but we were there at this event and everything was normal. We're all hugging each other. It's great. The room was packed. We're just like excited. And the next day comes in, you know, one of my clients, she's like, oh, I get speaking engagements canceled. This little buzz about COVID thing, right? And then another one comes in, and I got this event canceled and this event canceled. What I had already, you know, changed my business, so I wasn't looking at the paid speaking that I had, although, you know, a lot of mine that I had planned were canceled. Um, they were, I don't call them canceled, postponed, but we thought at that time it's just postponed. They're going to be, you know, a couple months we'll be back into this thing. So then as it went longer, it was like, okay, doing more and more online, more and more online. And my live events got really just slammed. That's the thing that was major for me because I've been doing live events for 15 years. So I put people in the room, I get people excited, and they invest in high-end mentoring programs. Now trying to do that completely online on a turn, you know, it was tougher. I mean, I'm still getting clients, I'm still doing business great, but I'm used to those live events where you're signing up, 10, 20 people at a time because they've spent time with you, and it's different online. And so even though I've been in it, even though I've been doing online, even though I have multiple income streams, I can't tell you, Lisa, that it was easy for me. And it's still going through a transition because
Mhm.
I think we just put things on hold. We put like, okay, well, and then we're going to put it over here, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. So I got to say this to your listeners. If you're listening to this right now, are you still waiting? Because you're going to be fearful and you're not going to want to invest in yourself, and you're going to not going to want to put the money into your business like you should. And you're not going to want to put it into your personal development and your mindset stuff. And you got to, because if we don't shift this, nothing will shift. If we stay stuck, the world will stay stuck. So we have to go fast pivots. We have to go, this is going to be it. This is going, and then it's a more of a push. And you know that too, Lisa, that it's a little bit more of a mindset push. We don't get up as excited. I would say, first of the starting the new year after the holiday, it was like, get up, get excited about going back to what I was doing. No, I wasn't as excited this year. And I would tell you it's because even though I can have my goals in place and have I'm a planner, right? And even though I have a plan, I feel like something's going to knock that plan apart. So I have to have a lot of A, B, and C planned,
Mhm.
so, or
Mhm.
just pivot over here.
Yeah.
It takes
Oh,
a lot of mindset.
I have two other questions for you. The first one is really building off what you said, and I'm going to try to see if I can explain this. But I love this because I think you're going to get my question. We've both been around for a while. Like, not everybody in the online digital world has seen the economic ups and downs that we have. I was born in the 60s. There's been a lot of up and down in my lifetime, right? And what I will say is that my impression, and the data supports this, is that it is getting harder to make a middle class income because of the inflation that has been happening in the world. And it isn't our imagination that it's actually harder, and I'm not trying to create a belief system, but I'm just going to say
I
we
get
have
it.
to do things differently. And even what your talk reminded me of, even going back 10 years in time, things were easier when we were
Yeah.
groundbreaking and we were doing new things, or we were going on the internet, or they were easier. And what is happening right now, because of inflation, because of the cost of living, my impression is that we have to get really focused about our goals and realize this isn't our imagination. Like, you can't just
Yeah.
wait this out. This is actually happening. It is your
Cannot wait it out.
responsibility to stay on top of what's going on. And inflation's not going to go away. It's not going to, I've never in my lifetime, nor in the history of the world, has it gone the opposite way for a significant amount of time. There has been
Correct.
stagflation and deflation, but those were very, very temporary, economic situations. More than anyone can, we can all see that it goes up. The cost of things go up. We're trying to kind of stay on top of it. But where I'm going with this is that 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, when you were doing your business, mentorship and coaching weren't as important back then. A lot of us didn't need those things. And it may actually have something to do with the ease. As long as we went forward, we could make things happen. But I have a sense now, because of how things are speeding up and because of inflation, it's even more important than ever before to find someone who has done these things, who has built wealth, who has figured this stuff out, because figuring it out on your own and trusting that there's plenty of time is actually a mindset. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, right. And that keeps you more broke because this is a year to wake up. This is a year to pay attention to the fast pivots, and you can't do a fast pivot by yourself. So you need help. You need support. And you may say, well, that you have money to invest. You can't afford not to invest in yourself to get better. Otherwise, you're going backwards. And that's what you're saying, Lisa. Is like we're losing money by staying the same. We need to get above that fringe and get to that wealth So yes, we're in a big divide in our country, the world the same way, is that, people that are doing things the same way will make less money, will have more problems with finances. People that have moved up and shifted in some way, invested in mentors, whether that's personal development, or financial development, or, expert business positioning, marketing, sales, whatever it is you need, that's what you need to focus on this year. Whatever you feel, that is the thing that's going to really take your business. Because if it's not working now, there's something wrong with your marketing, your positioning. Obviously, I mean, I can look at everybody's website and see it very quickly, but and I can change all that and I can help you position it all. But I'm seeing even myself as that business mentor that's very do this and then do this and then do this, give them step, very strategic. I can't change your mindset. You have to
Mhm.
do that. So you're going to need multiple mentors. You're going to need that mindset mentor, that financial mindset. You're going to need the steps to move you up. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck. And that stuck place is fearful, it's doubtful, and it will continue to be more so if you don't feel yourself moving up. And again, there's a ton of opportunities to move up when times are tough. But the majority, the masses, will go down. They will lose more business. They will struggle. They will struggle. And it always starts with mindset. I'm hearing this even from my own clients, Lisa. I don't teach mindset. And maybe, that's the thing I'm hearing more from my clients is, get me out of this spot. Because we had this plan and now everything's gone, to hell in a handbasket with this plan. What am I going to do? Should I just quit? Like the example of this. Two of my clients were also doing events in Sedona when I'm doing mine. And they didn't take the time. They didn't fill the events. They didn't work on it. And I knew I could feel it in my gut because I wasn't hearing anything. It's just like the bad kid, you don't hear from them when they're not doing well. And so, and when they're doing great, they just want to talk to you all the time. And so I said, okay, we need to get on a call. They didn't even ask me. They're not even my clients anymore. But when you're a client, you're in my business family. I'm always looking out for you like a brother and a sister or aunt or whatever. Right. And I said, we need to get on a call. So I got the two of them on the call and I said, how's your plan A working? Well, it isn't working. I'm starting to get a little nervous, sleepless nights. Why did you reach out to me? I'd help you. And so I'm reaching out to you. I could feel that. So let me tell you, you got a plan A. You can cancel the whole thing, walk away, forget it ever happened. Lose some money off of it because you're canceling the event. You can do plan B, do it virtually. You can do it videotaped. You can turn it into an online course. Now that you have an audience, get a few people. So I gave them all the things. You have to know the ABCs, those quick pivots, and then make a decision, right? And so before we got off the call, you're going to make a decision. What are you going to do? And so both of them were like, oh my gosh, I'm so relieved. They couldn't think like that. They couldn't think to pivot. They just stayed in fear and did nothing. And I could feel it. Like I know my clients well enough
Yes.
that, they're just, because I know me, like I'm smart at this and I had to really think it through. So I'm like, they're new at it. They're not going to think it through.
Yeah. Well, you just described exactly what I talk about in my book, which is the science behind scarcity mindset. You just described
Mm,
exactly that they were following the scientific situation that we fall into when things are not working. And all we can think about is not enough. There's not enough people. There's not enough money. This isn't going to work. It's all falling apart. And the minute we go into that mindset, without you stepping in, they probably were completely powerless to get out of it. And this is exactly why we need mentors who are able to quickly wake us up like you did for your clients into an abundance mindset. Because what did you do? You gave them an abundance of options and said, you need to pick. You also gave them accountability, which is super, super important to
mm-hmm.
say. And, not just all these options, but what are you going to do? So you took them from scarcity into abundance. And no matter what we do, no matter how it works, the reason that's so satisfying for everyone is that you did not end the situation in scarcity, which sucks the life out of us. If we end it
Mm,
and we do it and we move forward what they were going to do, it would cause this thing that happens to everyone. We've all been there, right? Where you're like, I really messed up, but I don't know why. And then we think, instead of thinking the
It's them.
situation was
Yeah.
off, we think I'm off, I'm bad. And that's where it creates a vicious cycle that most people really struggle when you get into the cycle to get out of.
Yeah. I just had a visual as you were explaining that. It was kind of like Cher in that movie, Moonstruck. Snap
Yeah.
out of it. She's slapping him, right? Because it was like they were like, "Oh, okay, I've got it figured out for you. Snap out of it. I've got it. Okay, which path are you picking? We got to go. No time to be feeling sorry for yourself, thinking it's about you. It's about everything that's going on, but there's always another plan." And one of them was like, "Oh, I'm going to cancel. I can't even do this. I can't even think about it. I'm so stressed about my own other business." And the other one's like, "I don't ever cancel, but my daughter's getting married and it's so stressful to be stop, 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 you know, let's just
Wow.
move it. We just moved it. And so both of
You
them
did
got
it.
moved out to October and a new plan and a new, you know, probably bigger and better than it will ever be. So
Totally.
yeah, I think, all of us as experts, whatever we teach, is that we've done it so well that we assume people know what we know. And we
Yeah.
don't. And so that's like, that's why you work with mentors and give you the answers very quickly, give you those pivots that you can do, get back on track and start moving forward. And also, even myself, I'm constantly working with mentors and mindset coaches and business. And again, I will say this one more time before we wrap up, is that I believe that personal development and business development go hand in hand, and you need to be doing both. You can't do one without the other, because we are, especially when you're going through challenging mindset times.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, in building your wealth, and we'll end it on this, and I'd love also to tie this into how people can work with you. What's their next step for reaching out to you? Is what does money mean to you?
Money means like kind of a scorecard, I guess. It's like I like the feeling of success. Like it just gets me jazzed. But I've always used the word success before I use money, and it's always been that way. It's the byproduct of it. Um, because when you're financially free, because you've set yourself up, you don't think about the money as much as it is lifestyle and success and how it feels for you. That's how it changes throughout the years. So I feel very secure, financially secure. And when I have an idea, like, let's go on this vacation, let's go do this, we don't ever question it. We go do it. I feel very, very blessed. But I've worked really, really hard to get that. Um, and even though I feel that way, it doesn't mean I'm going to sit back and just wait for everything to start back up again and do nothing, because I can't. It's just not who I am. And you know that too, Lisa, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a creator, you've got to be doing something that brings in money, because money is the scorecard of success. Um, and you also feel like you should have, by that point, is feel when you're an expert, you're a highly paid expert, that is, you feel valued when you're giving people success. And that again is the scorecard is, okay, let me give you money for that because you've helped me. So it all kind of ties together, but I don't think about it money as just like, oh, I can go spend this. Not at all. It's very much a financial freedom. Feels good.
Yeah. And what's the next step for people to reach out?
Okay, so you can go to my website, since I've had since 1997, few reinventions, debbieallen.com, just like the famous choreographer, DEBBIEALLEN.com. When you're on the homepage, sign up for my free video action guide, and there's a business plan there. All of that is free, and it's all about expert positioning, so you can get a heads up on what it actually is, how it can actually support your business, and I walk you through it. And even in the video, I show you a one-page business plan, how to break it down so you can create multiple income streams for your business, so you do have that financial freedom. You don't ever get in a spot like I was stuck. I don't ever want that to happen to me or any of my clients again.
Yeah, totally hear it. This has been such a great conversation. So many light bulbs going off for everybody, I hope. And I hope folks reach out and get this wonderful gift that you're offering everyone. Thank you so much, Debbie.
My pleasure, Lisa. Thank you. See you soon.